Hello everybody, my name is Kevin and this is my knife channel, Killer Knives, and today we're going to review the Andrew Demko AD20. This is a custom version and it is in orange G10, as I'm sure you can tell. It's pretty bright. Really amazing knife. And we're just going to hop in with a quick couple of comparisons in size. I don't have the original SR1 and I don't have the clip point SR1, but I do have the Tonto SR1 Lite, and I think that these knives are pretty similar. Oh, check those out for size reference. I think you can tell that the SR1 is actually a little bit bigger. So those of you who are familiar with that knife and say, hey, you know, that knife is just way too big. This knife has a slightly thinner profile and is a little shorter, both in the blade and both in handle. All right. You can check the blade stock as well. You can see it's not like much thinner. I think it might actually be exactly the same. It's equivalent in blade stock, but if you do look at the points, there's a narrower point on the demko and significantly more jimping, much nicer thumb stud. Those of you that are not familiar with the SR1 Lite may or may not be familiar with the Recon 1. We're going to do a couple size comparisons just for those of you who might have some of these knives. They're pretty common. And I think that this is a pretty fair comparison when you look at it, but the Recon 1, I do believe, has a slightly longer blade. Probably like ½ inch. So, and this handle may or may not be, it's a little bit shorter. But yeah, so in comparison here, the blade stocks much thicker than the Recon 1. Handle is thicker. This does have titanium liners in it, so definitely adds to the width of the handle, but the handle and the knife ergonomics are absolutely amazing. You can see that it fits really great in the hand. And this G10, it feels more premium. I'm not just saying that because I know how much the knife costs. It just feels really great. It's got a nice grip, and this is very, very smooth. Whereas you might notice on a lot of G10, you can kind of feel a little give when you're pressing it. This feels very, very refined. PM2. A little bigger than the PM2. And then a Chris Reeve knife. This is the Inkosi with micarta inlays and the Insingo blade shape. So this knife, the AD20 specifically, is really not that much bigger than the Chris Reeve. I know a lot of people say, oh, you know, the Demko is a really stocky, big knife, and it's definitely not a small knife. But when you look at it next to the Chris Reeve, you know, this is definitely more pocket friendly. As far as the width of the handle and the blade stock, right? But it's not like, I mean, it's not crazy. You know, it's obviously a strange comparison because they're completely different knives. But those of you that are trying to figure out, oh, you know, would I ever carry that knife? Yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't. You know, you got an amazing design, and the shark lock here, which is especially easy to use. You're just pulling back and the knife blade is dropping. You have a small, so you can't really tell. It looks like it's just a flat grind all the way up. This is actually a hollow grind version. And then right up here, it's not flat. It actually goes in. So this creates a bit of a wedge there, or a point. It's not sharp or anything, but you can imagine using a hollow point. It's got the nice little point there. Things will fall right off the blade. So things won't be sticking to this. The craftsmanship on this is really awesome. You can see there's, I don't know if you can see that. So it's 17-4 steel, which is what the shark lock is made out of. You can see they wrote in there by hand. And then also here, this is, I believe, the way they were separating it at the factory for Demko in Wampum. This is a 20 CV, so easy way for them to tell. Also a way to see that this is handmade, hand ground blade. A lot of people will say, oh, you know, it's not worth it. It's definitely a huge increase in price, but when you think about it, I'm sure they're still using a CNC machine to cut the blade, but they're hand grinding it, and there's a lot of labor that goes into that. And this is a perfect grind. And you can see all the beautiful demko knives there. And flip it over. Wampum, Pennsylvania. The ease of the shark lock really is what makes this knife. The shark lock, like I said, is made out of 17-4 steel, which is something I never heard of, but I do believe they use it in aircrafts for ergonomics and its lightweight and strength capabilities. I don't know, you know, how applicable that is to a pocket knife, but Demko definitely didn't pick it for no reason. And as far as disassembly of this knife, I've never disassembled it, but you can see it's only really 3 screws. They're hexes, and I think they're probably T8s, if I had to guess. They look like T8s. So 3 T8s, and then on the back also a T8. So you really only need 1 tool. You got a titanium pocket clip, thumb stud, and you have the groove in the middle there. You can use that, I heard, to tighten oxygen tanks. Also can flick it out with that, so you can get an idea of the action. Thumb stud action. Spidey flick. You can use just the shark lock. Always harder to do it under the camera. All right, so in general, I would rate this a 10 out of 10, but I don't really love the sound it makes when you're playing with it. It makes a cool sound, but I don't want to like listen to that all day. It doesn't sound like a cool titanium knife. I don't know if it has anything to do with the G10. I'm not really complaining about it, but it has a clanking sound. The knife is still a 10 out of 10. As far as finding this knife and buying this knife, I bought this for my birthday last year in September. I logged on to, I believe it's called ArizonaKnives.com. Don't quote me on that, I'm probably wrong. But I got really lucky and I ordered this like 2 weeks before my birthday. Got really lucky. And I look periodically and I don't really see them anywhere. I don't know if I'm going to keep this knife forever. I love it, but carrying an $825 knife around to cut things doesn't seem so realistic, and I'm not trying to talk anybody out of purchasing the knife, but I'll probably sell this one day. It's a great knife. I've carried it. It slices like a dream. And let's finish. I'll show you a little slicing action. And you can see just how amazing the cutting action is on this knife for such a thick blade stock. It's a little drag in there. But it's also hard to do this behind the camera. So yeah, sweet knife, expensive knife, but basically the design is genius. I mean, shout out to Andrew Demko. It's really an amazing design. The shark lock is crazy. Take care, everybody.